少年ジャンプス。
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to our anime podcast, Shonen Chumps, where 3 but never 4 best pals sit around a table and sometimes talk about anime to different extents. This week we did something different where we didn't watch a series, we watched 3 movies actually, all with the same title. Ghost in the Shell, baby. We're doing it. In 1995, 2004, and then 2017. We're doing a nice little compare and contrast. We're going to talk about all of them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. Introduce yourselves. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Sean.
Welcome.
Okay, let's get started off with So we watched 3 different things.
We did, yeah.
We watched Ghost in the Shell in 1995, the movie.
The original
movie. We watched Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence.
Innocence.
From 2004.
Yeah.
And we just recently, today, watched...
A few hours ago.
Ghost in the Shell 2017, the, Hollywood new movie.
Remake-ish.
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I want to get started off by asking you guys what you knew or thought about Ghost in the Shell as a whole before you watched any of this stuff.
So, just background knowledge without ever consuming any of it.
Yes. What even made us want to watch this?
Okay. Well, I'll start, I guess. First and foremost, I've just seen the name and, stills from it so many different places. Just growing up and, being into anime, I've always known, it's always just been in the back of my head, Ghost in the Shell is, a well-established franchise that I know nothing about. Looks very cool, but is probably too dense for me to jump into right away. I didn't realize that it was even, a movie thing. I think my initial exposure to it was Standalone Complex, which is the anime series, which none of us have watched at this point. But that's what I always figured Ghost in the Shell was. It was probably just a lengthy series that spanned over decades, maybe Berserk or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Dylan?
So initially, I was gonna say that I hadn't known anything about this series about the movie until the Scarlett Johansson 2017 movie was announced, because there's all that controversy about the whitewashing and all that, which I'm sure we'll discuss. But I'm actually realizing after looking at that logo, I was I've seen this. So I don't know where. I can't really place it.
The classic 90s font.
Yeah, I can't place where in my life, whether maybe it could have been at a hobby shop or something, or at a comic book shop, if I saw a logo or something like that. But I basically knew nothing about the movie other than that the Major was part human, part robot, character, cybernetic, and that she kills people. That's all I knew. I didn't know if she was a good guy or a bad guy.
Right.
I assumed she was a badass, and that's it. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
Sean?
So I think the only thing that I knew is that, it was a TV show, because I'd watch anime late nights on Fridays on YTV, this Canadian channel that we've talked about on the
maybe
episodes
the fourth
of the podcast.
time we've brought it up. Yeah, YTV.
So waiting for the shows I actually wanted to watch, I would come across this weird, mature looking anime called Ghost in the Shell with this character with purple hair, and I just thought they were all policemen. I didn't think there was any sort of weird sci-fi stuff and robot shit going on.
I think that is actually what the Japanese name is. It's Robot Police Corps or something like that.
Yeah, I think I can pull it up here.
It's not called Ghost in the Shell?
No.
So the first
Robot Police.
something of that nature.
The first movie in Japan is called Mobile Armored Riot Police: Ghost in the Shell.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Dude. Mobile Suit Riot Police, Gundam in the Shell.
Yeah, jeez. That's interesting.
Can you imagine saying that? Like, hey man, you want to go see Mobile Gundam Ride Police Ghost in the Shell tonight?
Let's say Gundam in there.
Wait, what did I say?
You said Mobile Gundam Ride Police.
That was
or
a
something.
joke. Yeah. Just because it has mobile in the name.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, I guess that covers what we all thought before we jumped in. And
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that it was on YTV. I don't remember that as a kid.
Well, yeah.
Maybe that's where I saw the logo, like, and I just forgot.
I feel like that's highly likely,
Yeah.
that's how you encountered it.
Yeah.
No, I feel like beyond that, I have seen that, like, iconic image with the Major and all of the wires connected into her. And...
the movie poster from the first movie, like the white backdrop, and she's like on her knees with her back to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the wires and shit. And she's holding like a rifle.
Yeah. Is she? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting image. Okay, so what I want to ask, which is how I usually open up the podcast, is in one sentence, what do you think now that you've finished the first movie, this like second sequel movie, and now the weird prequel reboot type movie? Yeah.
So this is
we're summing up the whole franchise.
Everything so far.
Our impression of the three things in one, right?
I guess for now. Why
Holy
not?
fuck! Okay.
Is it possible for you guys to lump everything all?
I don't think so. I feel strongly in different ways about each part that we've witnessed. So I don't think I could... Okay, I'm going to generalize like each one, I guess.
Right.
I'm going to say Ghost in the Shell 1995.
Yep.
I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was succinct. I understood it right off the bat. I thought the message was cool. And like you and I talked about this earlier, but like seeing other sci-fi franchises and like Japanese franchises that drew from Ghost in the Shell, seeing those original ideas and maybe like some of the concepts that other people took from was really interesting for me. So I liked 95. Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. How do I put this? It was
sentence.
Yeah.
Brendan never sticks to this.
That was a great reply. How do I put this? One sentence.
Fuck, man. It was bad. Ghost in the Shell 2017. It was fine, I suppose. Okay, you guys.
I kind of wanted to accept the challenge of putting all three into one sentence.
You can go ahead.
But I know, but I was trying to think of how to describe it, and I think maybe I would say this was great with like that's a question mark at the end.
Huh. That's cool.
I don't know if that's
for all
really...
of them? Like all of them
the question
together.
mark is the second and third one.
Okay, yeah.
It's almost like this was great, and then the question mark are two separate entities in this. Just a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, go on. How about you?
So when it comes to the 1995 film, I thought it was interesting. I could clearly see how it influenced a bunch of stuff, like American stuff in video games and shit. So it was interesting. The second one from 2004, as I was watching it, I thought, like, this shouldn't have been made. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, interesting take for a sequel. And oddly enough, like, just because my expectations were, like, all out of whack after watching, like, the second movie, the 2004 movie, watching the 2017 reboot, remake, / prequel, it was like cheesy, but I liked it. Like it because my expectations were kind of low. I was like with it, I think.
Do you hear that? That's a mob of angry people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Villagers with pitchforks and torches coming to light our asses up for even saying that the new one is anywhere close to as good or maybe even better than any of the animated things.
I want to go back now because neither of you ended up doing the sentence thing. So,
oh, yeah?
Right. So now I want to say what my impressions were for the three, because that sentence was like, this was great,
I think a sentence is inadequate. I don't think we can...
1990, but I want to separate what I felt was, so from 1995, like, really well done, and it didn't hook me from the beginning, but then there was a point where I was just watching it, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, like, this is the best. I loved it. 2, I was just, like, angry watching it. Like, oh, man. I did not like it, and I had no idea what was going on. There were sex robots, and what's that guy's name? Batu was sad, and he had a dog, and Togusa was his partner now, and the major was gone. Yeah, I didn't like it, and because of that, the 2017 version, despite there was a lot of cheesiness and its flaws, it kicked Innocence ass.
Okay, I have a question.
And come kill me if you didn't like that I said that, but
stab us and take our money.
I mean, don't actually like kill me, but subscribe or something. The show
me. How should we go about discussing this? Should we go in order or like what?
I think we should take like a deep dive into the first movie.
Yeah.
But if anything comes up like points of comparison, we should just don't hesitate to bring up like the second movie.
We haven't talked about that yet. Okay.
All right, so deep dive into Ghost in the Shell 1. Is that what I should even call it?
Let's call
1995.
It Gets 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do we start?
I guess at the beginning, because holy shit, that fucking opening scene. What did you guys think? That was... Honestly, that was such a cool scene, but it kind of threw me for a loop.
Tell me what the scene is.
When you're talking about the opening credits, right?
Yeah, like when Matoko does the the backwards dive off the building and like in her like invisible armor and shoots through the window and kills the delegate from the other country or whatever. I was just like, and his head just fucking explodes and I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy, but. It kind of, I was going to say, it threw me for a loop in terms of pacing, because after that, it's like a steep drop. It's just like a violent, here's a bunch of dialogue and talking and a bunch of stuff that's going to go over your head.
Yeah.
Because like the way it started, I almost, because I didn't know anything about this, I was like, oh, is this just going to be like over-the-top action the entire time? Mm-hmm. Not even close.
And when I saw that, I was like, because what I told you I thought about before, I was like, okay, so she's like an assassin.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was like, okay, right. So that's what the movie is. Great. It like shocked me that it was that gory. That's what actually shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah.
Because it wasn't even like a bullet that you just saw go through his head.
Didn't you
he
see
got
his
shot
spine?
And then his head blew up and you just saw his innards and spine.
Yeah.
I'm blanking a little bit on this. I don't think the initial scene had like that big of an impact on me.
It didn't jar you?
No. I think like later on, I started like falling for the movie.
Fuck.
In later scenes, like when she's invisible, kicking the shit out of that guy in the water.
That's the scene that I was going to mention that hooked me. Yeah. I was like, hell yeah.
That's more when I'm like, okay, I get Ghost in the Shell. Like I get what's going on.
But did you?
I mean,
like
it's
plot-wise? Because it was a little bit... That's the thing. It's like there's so many terms coming at you and you're doing so many like mental gymnastics trying to figure out like the rules of the world and what's going on. It's just such a sensory overload from the beginning, I felt, that it was almost hard to keep up with the plot just because you're trying to figure out all these other things on the fly. So what people are saying is kind of going over your head for the first time anyway.
Yeah. From what I could gather, like I didn't even really feel like the plot was the interesting part. I think like visually the movie is like
it's stunning, yeah.
Pretty interesting, and just the way that like the themes it tries to like throw onto you.
Yeah, the world that Ghost in the Shell takes place in was really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking to some of my coworkers a few days ago, like after I'd watched the first movie.
Yeah.
About how like I didn't think the story was too interesting. I thought like the themes they tried to talk about, like the philosophical, like whether or not like what makes a person a person, like whether or not like robots have consciousness and all this stuff. I thought was like it's been better done in the last 20 years, so it didn't have like the same impact on me than it probably would have if I'd watched this 20 years ago.
Yeah, but just thinking of it being a seminal thing, it's kind of like, oh, like that's cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Like
anyway.
That's I was also like I had that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But hearing like what my coworkers thought was interesting, like they felt watching the movie, they also felt like the plot wasn't the most interesting thing in the world, but like the setting made them want to be there.
Yeah.
Like they felt like they want to be a part of that world because it was so engrossing, like immediately it hooked you.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of reminded me, like of late we've been watching a lot of sci-fi anime, and what it kind of rung a bell was like the Martian cities in Cowboy Bebop. I can't remember the exact name of it, but at Tharsis City, I'm pretty sure is what it was. Wherever you run, we encounter Ein for the first time.
Sure.
Like those cityscapes where it's like super like crowded. There's a lot of like neon signage and like cool stuff like that. I saw like a real big parallel between the two, and I thought it was cool. I think any kind of environment like that is cool.
Right.
And actually, in the new movie, I didn't like what they did with all of the big 3D holograms. I feel like they could have added a lot more like color. I feel like as metallic and weirdly like condensed that the city in the 95 movie looked like, it had more life and more color and like interesting shit going on in it. Like in any like given frame, your eye is going all over the fucking place because there's just so much to look at. Whereas in like the new movie, like they have that like dense city atmosphere, but what they're drawing your eye to is like the big, like constantly moving like holograms of like people lifting weights or just like making weird faces and shit.
Right.
And I felt like that didn't capture what the cityscape felt like in the original animation.
Right. I don't doubt that the like 2017 Ghost in the Shell didn't really have the soul that the earlier one did.
Without a doubt.
Definitely.
For some reason, I think like I don't want to say that looking at the city in the new one felt more interesting to me. It was definitely more colorful. Because in the first movie, everything's kind of like a glazed over like gray and green.
Yeah.
Except for when they have like that 6-minute or whatever it is, just like music interlude in the middle of the movie when it's just the song playing and they're showing you different shots in the movie.
Right?
Both. In the first
really?
one and the second one.
Oh.
I think they do like a very similar thing.
What's happening in that scene?
They're just showing you like what the city is like.
I know there's a parade in 2, and it's like...
Yeah, I think that's true.
I didn't even know the context of it. I was like, what the...
Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess...
Second one.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that I could immediately appreciate in the first Ghost in the Shell movie, first of all, the like invisible camo that they use.
Stealth camo.
Yeah, the stealth camo,
Gray
which
Fox.
made me think made me think of Metal Gear Solid 2, like when Snake is diving off the bridge and onto like this big ship or this tanker. And
no rain shorts it out.
Exactly, yeah, and he uses the exact same type of thing. And just the color scheme of Metal Gear Solids 1 and 2, like gray, green, dark blue, which is exactly the color scheme of Ghost in the Shell 1.
Right, yeah.
And also the Matrix movies, or at least the first Matrix movie.
Absolutely.
Straight up, yeah, they just take the visuals from Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
They use like the black screen with a green code on it.
Right,
yeah. I was watching that and I was like, oh, they must have loved these movies. The Wachowskis must have loved Ghost in the Shell.
It's like a blatant like homage and, reference, I guess.
Cool. Okay, one thing I wanted to make note of. You said that the plot didn't fuck you up, really.
Yeah.
Which is fair, because it does kind of plot along at like an interesting pace. My original thought was that like once the movie had finished, I was like, oh, that was like a little bit anticlimactic, but as a whole, it was very surreal. But I think it's because the way my expectations were set up from the jump, like with that crazy action sequence, I was like almost expecting more action throughout the entire movie. But like I still did like the point that they got at, because I feel like that is, or at least in what we've watched so far, that has been like the heart of this, is like the what makes a human question, or like sort of like the forecasting of what humanity might become someday, kind of thing. And I thought like the fact that they had an AI grow a consciousness just out of itself and then have it self-claim, oh, I'm a human, I demand asylum kind of thing. I thought that was really interesting, and it's something that never came up again. And especially, I have like a big qualm with the 2017 movie in its regard to that, but I guess we'll get to that later. But yeah, the end of Ghost in the Shell 95 and its big question mark, it just goes, so what's next? Like, what is humanity gonna become someday? And I think the line that the Major said was something along the lines of it's like the net is vast and infinite or something, and that's what the movie closes out on. And I thought that was like really powerful, actually, in hindsight. Like I was sitting there and thinking about the movie once it had finished. I was like, was that anticlimactic or was it really cool? And then I decided, wait, that was really fucking cool, because essentially what she's saying is once her human mind and like the data mind of the AI that created its own consciousness meld.
Master?
Yeah, Puppet Master.
Right.
Yeah, once they become one, it's like the possibilities for humanity going forward are infinite. And then she just kind of walks off in her new body, and it's just like kind of open-ended from there. And I was like, that's really cool. And that's the crux of this whole series, I think.
Right. I do think that's interesting.
Yeah. Like, it was like Ex Machina to me. Like, it was like the same feeling I got after we watched Ex Machina for the first time.
Right. So I think what you're saying is like incredibly interesting. I just like didn't get all of that from the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's multiple factors towards that. Like, one, I didn't see it in 1995.
Right.
Two, I immediately went on to the second movie, and then the third movie that we watched. I didn't like have time to sit on it. Yeah. And I just watched the movie once. I didn't like rewatch it.
Right. Yeah.
No time to like really like deep dive think about what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what you're saying is definitely interesting. What I wish is like the 1995 version seemed like it was pulling back on a lot of details so that you had like room to think about and like fill in a lot of your own details and like let you come to your own conclusions about the philosophy that was like underlining in there. Whereas the new movie, the 2017 movie, seemed to like beat you over the head with oh, I'm human. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
So
they did this to me.
Yeah.
What I wanted, and I was thinking this while we were in the theater watching the 2017 version, is I want a middle ground of like having almost no details and having almost too much details. I wanted the middle ground of that. And you bringing up Ex Machina and how that movie made you feel, I'm like, I wanted that amount of detail
in
from
the
this
movie.
series somehow. And it's almost like I got too little or too much.
Because that's the thing. This whole experience, we are only getting like a scraping of the surface of this world. We're just getting a snapshot.
Yeah, I would, because like I said before, like the world of Ghost in the Shell sold me a lot more than any of these movies. But I agree with you, like the concepts, like plot aside, like the concepts and like what is a human and what's next for humanity were the things that I was thinking about at the end, not really about specific characters or specific happenings in any of the plots.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the second movie?
Yeah, we can talk about.
Hold on. So the second, the end of the first movie, I don't mean that scene that you were just like talking about, but I did find it anticlimactic when she got to the place and then she fights the tank. That was all sick, and then it was just like, merge with me. I was just like a bit like confused.
It's just because like
like you didn't get that was going to happen. Like you didn't get the lead up to it.
Here's the thing.
Or what do you mean?
Oh, like, I don't know. I just felt like it was like I felt like this fight with the tank was like so big, and I thought there was going to be like more.
And then something. Okay, because
I don't know.
I think part of that is just like the context in which she's going to find the puppet master's body. It's because like they never overtly express it the way they do in the 2017 movie, where the Major's like, I wonder what I'm made of. I wonder what makes me human, even though I'm in this like cybernetic body. Am I still a human being? And then having come in contact with the puppet master, and then wanting to go investigate something that mirrors her, something that she sees like herself in. She's like, I want to know more about you. That's like her driving force, but you don't really get a lot of that, or else at least I didn't. Like first pass, I was like, why is she going here again? Oh yeah, she wants to find this body. It was only when they started talking to one another that I was like, oh okay, like she wants to know what's up. Yeah,
I think like Sean said before, like the 2017 movie gives you like a lot, and this gives you a little, because like she's like not satisfied with the fact that she's like, she feels like she's not truly human and she can't feel or whatever. And I didn't really get that from her character in
the 95 movie.
In the 95 movie. Yeah. So then he's just like, merge with me because we're not humans.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, she didn't seem that dissatisfied. So it's almost like, I was like, is she gonna, like, I was just so confused that she was like down to merge.
Yeah.
I guess.
Which is part of like retroactively makes me think that like the 2017 version filled in a lot of holes. It probably filled them in too much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It definitely gave you too much information, like kind of beat you over the head with these things, but it helped me contextualize how she thought going into the first movie. Yeah.
Right. But it was too much.
Yeah.
The cup of information runneth over.
Yeah. Because like I'm
in the good way.
I was in a similar seat to Dylan, where at the end of Ghost in the Shell 1995, the guy's turned over to her and he's like, merge with me. And I'm like, why would she want to do that?
Exactly. That's exactly what
this guy's a joker.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though. That was my reaction this time around watching the 2017 movie when he like flopped over and was like, merge with me. And she didn't. I was like,
think he sold her more.
Well, but here's the thing. I was like, why? Well, what would be the point? Because he's not an entity born of like data. He used to be a person just like her.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
It completely defeats the entire purpose of the first movie. The point at which like man and machine like meet one another, and one is purely human and the other's purely machine.
Right.
But like in this case, that dude was just the same thing as the Major, except a shittier version.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with that.
So I was like, this doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. You just crammed that in there.
Yeah, the merge in the first one makes more sense, but because we didn't get a lot from how the Major was feeling, it just felt so strange to me. Like, I completely understood the Puppet Master's motivation at the end. I was like, gotcha, perfect. But
wait, what was his motivation at the end again? Just remind me.
Well, just like he was saying, he was created by that company, and then
Megatech,
and then he gained sentience.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was saying he's not truly human because he
doesn't know how to die, and he can't die.
He can't reproduce.
He can't reproduce. He can only make copies.
Yeah.
So, but he's saying, I guess if the two of them come together, then
he
they're
would
making
understand
something new. Yeah. So that was his motivation, and that made sense.
You're right. That was clear.
Yeah. I was like, got it. But I just like didn't, because I just like didn't know what the Major's motivations were completely.
Yeah.
To that point, it was a bit hazy. Like, I still loved the movie, but I don't know. Like the ending, I felt like shouldn't have been as.
No, I agree. Speaking of the 2017 version, I think they were trying to like wheedle their way around that by making this new evil guy. They were talking about how he'd connected his own internet of things using like human brains and like maybe like created this net. And when he said like merge with me, didn't he also say something like we could accomplish like great things on the net and stuff like that? And I think he was referring to like his human mind-based internet type shit. I don't know. It's all it's all elusive. I don't even know what I'm referring to right now because I didn't clarify.
That was like super muddy. Even like the whole like human network thing. She just stumbles upon a bunch of people connected to those wires from like the original image that we've seen so many times. It's like he's got a whole network of people. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. So maybe that's like what they were trying to allude to, like something as interesting as what was in the first movie. Should we move on to the second movie now?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say.
Sure.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. Made in 2004.
Yeah.
By the same director of the original movie. Directed this movie as well. So what I know, just right off the top, is that this movie is set in 2032, whereas the last one was set in 2029.
So 3 years later.
So 3 years later. And I know that it's less faithful to the manga, and it like drags in different aspects of like a couple chapters of the manga than the original movie. The original movie is like just a full chapter or something like that.
Right.
And this like takes bits and pieces from some things. Which one of us wants to describe the basics of what happens in this movie?
Oh no.
I think I really want to task it to Dylan.
I was just going to say I don't think I can. I was like, please but I'll go for it.
Yeah,
I think
give
you
it
should,
your best shot.
Because I heard you try to do it before, and that's essentially 99% of what I gathered from the movies, so you've like a pretty spot-on view of what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so I'll describe it the way I described it to you guys before I looked up the plot after, because now it filled in some details. But all I knew, and I was just like, okay, so Batu's now the main character. The Major's gone, and he's partnered up with Togusa. And there are sex robots, and they're killing people, and they're trying to figure out who did it. And Batu's sad for some reason. There's like a scene with his dog, and he's just like chilling at home. And like that's it. There's the Yakuza. There's like a scene where he just like shoots up all the Yakuza. And then at the end, I didn't know what was going on. I thought he was like running through hell, but apparently that wasn't what that was. And then the Major shows up, and that's it. Case solved. I don't know.
Basically.
I don't know.
It's a super weird movie. There's some things I want to fill in. Well, first of all, is it Batu or Bato?
I say Bato.
Oh, Bato.
I think in the English movie, the 2017 one, they like deliberately say Bato, right?
Bato.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's Batou.
Anyway. Oh, okay, yeah. That's why it's confusing.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of it was unclear, and I thought it was unclear, and I was upset while watching it.
Right.
And that's that.
So a lot of the movie is Bato being depressed that his boss isn't around, the Major.
Yeah, the Major's dipped, yeah. Also, wait, before we get any deeper, what the fuck?
The movie?
No, where did she go?
Right.
Because there was nothing in between like the first movie and this movie, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe in the manga elaborates more, but as far as I'm concerned, she walked off in her new child body, and then all of a sudden she's part of the internet. It's like, what?
Did the body even look like a child?
I mean,
it just looked
kind
like,
of. It was smaller.
I don't think I saw it to scale with anything. She was like sitting, I think,
when
she met him.
Stood up and she was like half the
away.
size of Bato. So.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to what their height difference was before. So I'm just like, I couldn't tell that it was a female. I mean, I couldn't tell that it was a child. Sorry, I could tell that it was a female. I feel like I lost track of what I was saying. That'd be funny,
but that really, like, from the get, I was kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you one of you listening is going to leave us a flaming furious comment being like, you fucking idiot. How'd you didn't know that she just fucking merged into the internet in chapter. It's okay. It's fine. Just cut me some slack. I was confused.
I don't care if they write that message because that'll maybe clear some shit up for us.
Yeah, you know what?
Please
enlighten us.
Please let me know what happened.
What happened?
I'm begging you. So yeah, because you figure she has this new fangled body, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go be the most powerful being ever."
Because now she's truly part AI and part human.
Yeah. So I wonder, does she solely exist on the internet now, or is she like in a room and she's jacked into the internet?
Yeah.
And she just transports her consciousness to whatever computer or body she wants, whatever shell. Sorry, I should probably use that term as much as possible. The
terminology.
Yeah.
There's also like the why. Like, why did she leave?
That's I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But from what I've gathered, like the one piece of dialogue that actually made sense to me in terms of the plot of Innocence was when she uploaded herself into the sex doll that was fighting alongside Bato. She was like, "Oh, this sex doll can't handle that much like cognition computing, so this actually isn't all of me. It's just like a part of me."
And she said something about its facial expressions not being able to express everything that she wanted it to.
Because it can fight, it can fuck, and it can smile.
Because Lord knows she has a lot of expression in the first movie. Yeah. That was a joke. Yeah. She's very robotic in the first movie.
You don't say.
That was something I wanted to say about the first movie, to take it back for a minute. I mean, so first I watched the dub.
Yep.
Wasn't a fan of the voice actress.
I wanted to bring this up, but I didn't want to like sidetrack the conversation again.
Right.
The dub in the first movie is straight up bad.
It's bad.
It's like they're not acting. They're just reading a transcript.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. And it doesn't sync up. I experienced like the Brennan thing where
the lip sync?
Yeah.
Dude, but I was wondering, why is this dub so bad? Is it because they're focusing so hard on making the lip sync work?
But no, really? Not at all.
But the thing is, I didn't actually pay attention to whether or not the lip sync worked. I was just wondering if that was their excuse.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we could just chalk it up to bad 90s voice acting.
Yeah.
Or were they like trying to do some like robotic acting?
I thought about that too.
I
thought about that too for her. So it bugged me for the first bit until I started to get into the movie. Then I wasn't caring. I was like, this is her voice. It's fine. It didn't bug me because I liked the movie enough.
I also watched the dub and I came to terms with it very quickly. I was just like as soon as she opened her mouth and started talking, I was like, this is weird. But then I just kind of forgot because I had bigger problems. Like, what the fuck is going on?
That's interesting for you guys that you just like accepted it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I was so bothered by it. About an hour in, I switched to the sub.
Holy shit.
But then, and I'm like, whoa, everybody is so much more expressive. This is pretty cool. I switched to the sub, but I did, out of like laziness, I did end up switching back to the dub. But it's worth noting that I was the most bothered. Maybe it's because so you guys really liked the first movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I was watching it, I was not feeling the dub, and the movie wasn't really connecting with me.
Right.
So I was like, wait, this has got to be me. So I should probably switch to the truest form, which is the sub.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's just me and I'm an idiot for not generally loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I guess I just realized that it's just how I feel about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. I probably didn't love it as much as Brennan, but I was able to let go of the bad dubbing as the movie went on. But initially, I my note was literally, this is not a good dub. It is way worse than anything else we've watched on the podcast.
Right. So just so the audience knows, all of the second movie we've seen in sub.
Yeah.
So with Japanese voice acting.
And the funny thing is, we all had a bad sub, so that didn't help. But here's the thing. Okay, my biggest critique of Ghost in the Shell 2 was that it essentially gets at the same philosophical points that Ghost in the Shell 1 does, but it just takes the most convoluted route possible. It's like the anti-Occam's razor. Why coat everything in philosophical quotes? Why, like, there's 1,000,001 references to all these different philosophers, all this existentialist philosophy, and it's like, okay, that's fine, it's cool, but at the same time, you're decoding so much because you're trying to put it in the context of the movie and the plot and what's actually happening in front of you. So when you're doing that, important shit's happening, and it's not sinking in. I don't know, maybe I'm just a human being, maybe I'm a stupid human being, but I wasn't able to comprehend all of it at once, and it was too much for me.
It was also so long.
Yeah.
It felt so long. It was only just over an hour and a half, but...
It was around maybe 20 to 25 minutes longer than the first movie, which is why it probably felt long. Because the first movie is actually short. Yeah. It's just like a generally short movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like quick and to the point, pretty much.
See, that's the thing. The pacing of 2 was really fast. A lot of shit was happening like all the time, but because none of it stuck, it's just like, when is this fucking nightmare going to be over?
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
There was also the weird section where they run into that guy who's playing dead, but he's not dead.
Oh my god.
And they thought he was real, but then he's a robot. But also he traps them in their own subconscious, and they're just running around thinking that they're in reality, but they're not.
Hacking magic. And then he goes on this big spiel about dolls and like sentience and the beauty of a doll or what the fuck ever. It's like, of all the comparisons to, like, I don't know.
I get that this was taken from the manga, but I also, like, I mean, there's got to be more stories about the Major that happened in the manga that wasn't in the first movie. Because I'm wondering why they're like, guys, what if we make a movie without the main character?
Like, you know, it's Metal Gear Solid 2 all over again.
Fuck yeah, the references are endless.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's what I was like thinking
saying.
about when I was watching. Like, is that true? The manga, like, I understand that this is from the manga, but was the Major just gone?
It's not like directly from the manga. It's like there's bits and pieces taken from the manga and like melded together into this own movie.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's like a fair story, I guess, to be like to put into a movie. But I was just wondering, like, was there not a storyline with the Major in it that they couldn't make? I don't understand the motivation to make this movie over another one.
I don't even understand what is the payoff of seeing the Major in this movie.
There is none.
What is the payoff of them, of her and Bato like connecting again?
Yeah,
there's none.
It's not, because you don't really get any answers, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm there when you need me." Boom.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. In like all of the stuff that we watched, the biggest connection they ever had was in the 1995 movie when he picks her up from the like ocean or whatever she's swimming around in, and he's like, you know, I'd always like pick you up from here, and she's like, or like, you know, I'd always save you if you were like drown or some shit in here.
Oh, you mean like she's the fact that they're buds?
Yeah, and she's like, I know you would. In the dub, it sounds like she's kind of being like an asshole about it. Like, I know you would. Yeah. But like in the Japanese sub, like it's kind of more like she's like more sincere. Like, yeah, I know you'd save me. More like partner to partner.
Right. Yeah.
God, yeah, it's like that's the one connection they had, and I get it. There's a connection he misses, like his boss, also very Metal Gear.
Yeah.
But dude, it's like, what is the payoff in this entire movie? Like,
it was fan service. It's
kind of
putting C-3PO and R2-D2 in every
Star Wars
prequels.
Also, why is it called Innocence? Is it because these little girls' consciousnesses are being used in these sex dolls? Actually, that's interesting.
There we go. You figured something out that I was thinking about. And
oh my god, I don't know.
The movie. Is that the reason?
Honestly,
that has to be the reason.
Because it's the innocence of the little girls being put into these robots forced to have sex, and then they go and kill the people that are having sex with them.
Yeah.
Because the Yakuza was like human trafficking them. But that's trafficking their consciousnesses into these robots
to make them more authentic.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah, ghost dub.
What a mess.
Ghost dubbing.
Jeez, what an odd movie.
My summation of this entire film was the sound that Bato's dog made at the very end, where it just goes, Arr? And that's it.
Ruby Roo. Oh god. I feel like there's a couple more things I want to say about it. Like, Oh yeah, it's worth noting, I mentioned this earlier, that there's another segment, like almost dead in the middle of the movie, where it's just shots of what the city looks like, I guess trying to like pull you into what
is
this
when
world
they're in
is
the
like.
helicopter? Or like when they're on the ground?
I don't think it's from the character's perspective at all. Like
in the second movie?
Yeah. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I read a few articles like what to know about Ghost in the Shell, and I read these after I'd seen the movies.
Right.
Or like how to introduce yourself to this franchise.
Yeah.
And there was people talking about how like the first movie is like known for this like couple minute sequence where it just shows you shots of the city.
Yeah.
And plays that like chilling song that you definitely know because it's in the credits of the 2017 version too.
Super.
And so they just like pretty much copy that and paste it again into the second movie to like less of a payoff. But like that seems to be like a staple of like what Ghost in the Shell is, like shots with the music of the
Here's
city.
The city.
Here's what the city looks like. Here's the music.
I must have zoned out.
Yeah, maybe. Just what a weird experience.
Why?
Yeah.
Just
question,
why?
Why? You're right.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like, like what I read in a couple places was that this was generally well received.
The second movie, it won like best sci-fi movie of 2004 in Japan or something.
Yeah, and I think it was
like that.
I think it was the only animated film at like Cannes Film Festival or something like that. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
It was in Cannes at the very least.
Yeah, so
or Cannes,
however you pronounce that. It's French, right?
Right.
Cannes.
Anyways, so people watched this and fucked with it, but I can't help but wonder if anyone who fucks with this is just pretending to be an intellectual or something.
Right.
I honestly don't know. I don't know what to say about this movie. I would love to like it, but I didn't at all.
Yeah.
The second movie.
One thing I want to clarify, which everybody obviously listening to this knows by now, is that we're talking about Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence.
Not the original.
Not talking about Ghost in the Shell 2.0.
Oh yeah,
which is a different movie.
Yeah,
it was the remake of the original,
right?
In which they changed like the greenish color scheme, a lot of it to being like red and orange.
Yeah, and they had 3D graphics.
And they had 3D graphics to a bunch of shit, which by the way looks terrible in the second movie.
Disgusting. If there's another thing that made me mad, oh my goodness, what the hell? That looked straight up bad.
It doesn't.
I don't know if it looked. Was it good in 2004 though? Was it? I don't know, man.
I know, yeah.
Like, I can't imagine like ever liking that. Maybe that being good. Like the first movie was beautiful.
Someone thought it was groundbreaking. Someone saw that and went, "That's
what a shame."
3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And one. This is like off topic towards the ugliness of the CGI or the 3D graphics. But Dylan, you asked earlier like why the Major even left, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I forgot, and then I was taking a look at my notes. Like, at the end of the first movie, she says that joining consciousnesses like this is akin to going from being a child to a man. And like you lose the need to express yourself like a child.
Oh yeah.
So what I see that is like
that cool
she
line.
cared or cares for Bato, at least a part of her will, but it's like in the Watchmen with Professor Manhattan. Wait, is that what his name is? Yeah. Or Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
He's like surpassed being able to care about these plebs that he's surrounded by. Like she needs to be part of the internet, or it's like in her when like consciousness just like needs to go somewhere else.
But in the end, she helped him when he needed it.
Right, because maybe like a semblance of her cares, but like not enough to come back. It's like, I'll give you this like little body that I can transform into for 5 minutes and then help you, but I'm gonna dip afterwards.
Yeah, dude, she fucked off to Mars. She built a castle. She sees the photograph falling.
She keeps showing up and leaving. Anyway.
And then ruining his life.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say about that. So it's like, I guess they address her like moving on to a different plane of existence, almost where like the stuff that mattered to her before doesn't matter anymore.
I remember that quote, and I got that she wanted to like find her way or something, but like I don't know. I just can't help but wonder. Like, also, like what is she up to?
Right. But I guess we never know.
Yeah, because she's transcended our stupid human brains.
Because it's worth saying that all the other TV shows and some other movies in the Ghost in the Shell franchise, I believe, take place at least different times of the franchise, or they're in a slightly different universe.
Right.
Like same characters, but slightly different timeline, a few years earlier, or...
Do you know what's up with Ghost in the Shell Arise?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. It takes place like a couple years before the first movie.
Right, yeah.
But also, it's different story, I believe, and there's a movie that caps it off.
Right.
Yeah, that's as far as I know.
There's also a movie for Standalone Complex.
Right. But Standalone Complex, I remember hearing is in a different continuity pretty much, where they're all just a police force generally.
Right, yeah. Her hair's purple.
Yeah. Yeah, her hair is purple. I feel okay, now is a good time to transition to the 2017 movie.
I was about to say that.
So I feel
speaking of different world, different universes.
Speaking of hair colors, I feel her hair was generally black in the 2017 movie, but at the little bangs at the side, there's
stripe.
a blue stripe on one side, and I think
did that happen?
Purple or a different
Wait, was that
shade?
always there though? Because I only noticed it during the last 20 minutes of the movie. I was like, did she what the fuck?
It's there from the beginning. So from the beginning, when they first feed the dogs in the alleyway, which I guess is a reference to the Ghost in the Shell 2, the movie from 2004.
Bato's dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a basset hound or a bloodhound or whatever his dog is.
So when she's there in the alleyway, first feeding the dogs, and maybe in 15 minutes into the movie, you see the light shine through her hair, and I'm like, oh, so it's blue at the side, which is cool. But then at different points during the movie, I noticed light was shining through her hair, and it was different shades on the different sides.
Maybe flowers.
Really?
Maybe or at least that's what I thought. And I looked at it multiple times, and I swear I kept seeing it, but I could be wrong. But maybe it's some sort of allusion to the different hair colors she's had in the different shows, blue here, purple here, black here. I don't know. Who knows?
That's cool. That could be, because it's blue in her eyes, right?
I believe so, yeah. So the 2017 movie overall, I guess maybe I'll start it off by saying that while you were bringing up your complaints with the way the city looked, in a way, maybe he was cheapening it by being hey, look at these holograms, isn't the city so cool?
Future!
Yeah, I dug how the city looked, and it gave me a good sense, sort of dystopian, sort of futuristic, sort of slums of Tokyo, but also super futuristic.
Yeah.
Everything is a slum, but also technology everywhere.
Did it seem more passable as reality to you?
Yeah. It felt closer to what we are now, because obviously this isn't a knock against the original Ghost in the Shell. It had a distinct look, it had a color palette, and it nailed what it was going for. But this movie was more if I were to walk out to New York City in 20 years maybe it would look just like
You'd
that.
believe that.
And the colorfulness of it is Times Square-esque.
Yeah, I agree. I also liked the way it looked, the cities.
I dug that.
The actual slummy areas were a faithful reconstruction. The scene, you mentioned before, where she's beating up the guy and she's got her stealth camo on. Yeah, that was almost frame for frame the first movie, and I was like, wow, this is fucking cool.
And it was cool. The action in this 2017 movie was cool. The first scene when she dives into the room and the glass shapes around her body she's shattering through, and then she
it's almost a reference to the first thing that happens in the first movie where she,
exactly,
does the
there were
callbacks.
So,
there were so many callbacks throughout the whole thing, I appreciated some of the details, but also some of it felt like it was pandering. It was hey guys, remember this part where he drops his briefcase and it's actually an Uzi?
Okay, so wait, but before we talk more about that, I was under the impression that this movie was going to be a remake of
that's what I thought
the original
initially. And
then when we were talking about it before we recorded the podcast and before we watched the movie, you talked about where it fits into the timeline, Sean. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so it is in the same universe as the rest of the movies? Is it? I don't think so.
Here's the thing. So, I don't think it can make sense.
It has specific scenes that are
that
are the first one, but slightly different to cater to obviously to fit the plot of this movie. So
I wouldn't call it a canonical sequel at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Rather, but
I want to jump in and say that before I started watching any of this Ghost in the Shell stuff, I wanted to do a little bit of prep so that we knew we were at least watching enough to do a podcast about. Yeah. Not just watching a little series from 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I found out through that list of a watch order list, somebody telling you canonically how they take place, that this 2017 movie was a prequel, at least listed by this forum of people, saying this movie takes place before the 1995 movie. However, actually seeing the movie, at first I was thinking wow, they're alluding to a lot of the stuff in the first movie, as if
that movie doesn't exist.
As if that movie, doesn't
how could
exist.
It happen
this
again?
Is almost like a prequel in an alternate universe kind of thing. It's the same. It's a year. It's not 2029. It's 2027.
Which is when Arise takes place.
Here's the thing. This felt like the movie, the 2017 movie, felt less of a snapshot than the others did. We got more backstory. We got a bit more of the world built up. We had a bit more context as to why people were doing what they were doing. So it wasn't like we were skimming the surface, I felt like. And that was like almost cool in a way. But we did talk about this where it was like almost too much at certain points.
Because I think with the original Ghost in the Shell, what you get from giving people just the surface level of stuff and then leaving them with one film is that they rewatch that film, think it over, they dwell on it, and they start to love it. And there's like a cult fan base based off that.
They draw conclusions about shit they missed.
Yeah, with this one, it's like they told me exactly what I needed to know 5 times. Like every piece of information I was told like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So I never questioned anything. So maybe it's like the incredibly mainstream version of the storyline.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, like there's room for this still being a prequel. Like kind of to a level.
You could argue. I think it's not because any of like the scenes that were like recreated, air quotes here, in this movie that were from the first one, they're under like different circumstances.
Yeah.
Right? When she like beats the guy when she's camouflaged in the water and there's like the city in the background.
Yeah.
That's a different guy.
Exactly.
And it's under different circumstances. So that could happen again.
He still is a garbage man.
Yeah. He still is a garbage man. And when she breaks through the window, there are other windows in Japan that you can break through, right?
I guess so.
People,
Wait.
Right?
At the end of the movie, when she does that jump, it seems like it's alluding to the fact that, this is the beginning of the first movie.
Exactly.
But that can't be the case because half the shit that happened in the first movie already happened.
But the thing is that I think it entirely could be the case. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that just based on what I've read online and the way that people view it, seems like that's what people think that it is, that she's doing the dive into the first scene of the first movie.
Which is cool. And like, so like, you could say that, but it's just weird that they called back to
all the scenes
like
that happened.
All the scenes that happened in the first one. It's like strangely like, does she just have like places that she likes to kick guys' asses at? Like she likes to go to
like they always whenever they have somebody to catch, they funnel them to the same part of the city.
Another day on the job. Section 9.
Just eating a donut, sipping coffee by the pool of water where I kick guys' asses.
So it was strange in that way. I guess it can be a prequel if that's what they want.
Yeah, it was near towards the end where I'm like, when the cyborg dude is like, we should merge. I'm like, this is really treading over someone's
to the
point where I thought he was just the same character as a puppet master. I'm like, maybe they're going to call him that in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
I was wondering about that too.
Yeah. It's just like in the new movie, he's just the replacement for that. But again, it doesn't have the same weight as it did in the first movie because it's out of context. It's like he doesn't mean anything.
We mentioned this earlier. His backstory has way more weight.
Right, yeah.
But in the moment when he's like, merge with me, that has no weight.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be like the climax, the crux of it. But it's just like, they just said that for the sake of being like, hey, remember this part?
Yeah.
Also, fucking goddamn, if Hideo Kojima is not like Bloody Mary in this fucking series, or if you say his name enough, Metal Gear will fucking appear.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. I wanted to say that parts of this movie were influenced by Metal Gear.
We know what the Metal Gear movie is going to look like now.
Yeah, right. There was like the part where she's walking down like a stairwell in a hallway with her gun out and then the knife like right under it in her other hand, like close quarters combat Metal Gear Solid 3 action. And I wonder, like, are they just referencing themselves as Ghost in the Shell, or did they take a game that was referenced by them and then re-reference that? Yeah.
Coming full circle?
Yeah, coming full circle. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. And thinking about how when she meets up with the main bad dude in the movie that wants to merge with her, she like touches a wall that says Hideo on it.
Yeah,
and she's like, your name is Hideo. Like when we saw her touch the wall, even before she said that. Yeah, even before she said that, we started laughing.
Oh man.
Because it's like, oh my god.
Dumb.
I wonder what Hideo Kojima felt when he saw that.
Because he saw that.
Yeah, he wrote an essay on the movie. Yeah.
Oh, did he? Wow, okay.
A short essay saying like it lacked the soul of the original.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, though.
Another thing, it's like when fucking Metal Gear Orisa has bad guy up against the wall and he pulls his finger out and goes, bang. It's just like, man... How hard are you going to try to suck anime fans' dicks on this one? Like,
yeah, it was really stupid.
Also, the end of Cowboy Bebop.
That's why. It's like, oh, well, I was just alluding to it, but...
Right.
If you don't know, now you know.
So, I want to say watching this movie, like, as I was watching the 2017 version, I probably enjoyed it moment for moment more than I was enjoying the 1995 or the 2004 movie. It's only
because it was paced more like a Hollywood movie.
Exactly.
That we're used to.
it was only more in hindsight that I enjoyed the 1995 movie.
Yeah.
And like noticed its significance obviously on like society. Well, I noticed that as I was watching it.
Yeah.
God, yeah. The 2017 movie needed to be less cheesy. Unfortunately, it wasn't.
It's just, I feel like there's a mix of a lot of things. Bad acting, poor writing, and just generally padding with like Hollywood tropes to keep casual viewers' attention is what takes away from... Like if you put them side by side, you could almost say, you could look at Ghost in the Shell 95 as like a quote unquote art film and be like, this is an artistic animation that is solely valuable for its merit as like a statement on society to some degree.
Right.
Whereas if you looked at Ghost in the Shell 2017 under that lens, it just wouldn't make any sense because there's so much Hollywood fluff.
We haven't even really touched on like the whole cybernetic nature of these movies and like how it shows people like being mixed with technology and stuff.
Right.
Which is like, it's cool. Like, it really actually did sell me, whether or not I realized it or not, about the cybernetics being like this ingrained in society. I don't believe there'd be this many cables. I don't believe you'd be plugging your
That was a huge thought I had too. I'm like, that's not the future. It's way too many cables.
But it's like, I got along with it because I'm like, this is their version of the future. Almost like in The Matrix when they show you what the world is really like. It's just a giant rave party. Like, this is stupid as fuck, but at least it's their version of the future. Whatever.
Also, it's like looking at the cars people drive. To me, they are so aesthetically pleasing because they're very box-like and there's a lot of hard edges on them.
In the 2017 movie, they're just in a DeLorean. Pretty much.
It's like everything is a Lamborghini Countach from like 1999.
Right.
And I think it looked so fucking cool. But upon seeing that, my immediate thought was just like, well, this isn't what the future looks like. There's going to be a lot more round shit going on. Yeah. But I guess they wanted to stay faithful to the anime in that regard.
As faithful as they could, yeah.
Also, another thing that I have a bone to pick with is like the way some of the side characters came off. Right off the bat, first and foremost, like that new character that we were introduced to, like the French doctor who basically put the Major together.
Right.
I don't remember her name. Like her opening dialogue, I was just like, what the fuck is this? It sounds so stiff, sounds so dead, and I was just like, it pulled me out of the movie. Her talking to what's his name, Mr. Cutter or whatever, at the beginning, where he's like, she's gonna be our new weapon, and then she's like, but the technology is too crazy, or some shit like that.
Yeah. And
it was, I don't know, just the delivery on a lot of these side characters' lines just felt lacking.
Right.
Also, like Bato and Togusa, that's the name, right?
Yeah, Togusa, yeah.
Both of those characters were super underwhelming in the movie, whereas in the original series, I felt like they had life and character. Especially Bato. He's just a badass who shoots first and thinks later. He asks questions later. But in the scene where they tried to mimic the Yakuza scene from Innocence in the new movie, it just felt like it's not as if they're trying to clean up after his mess, because he just kicks the door down and starts shooting and fucking decides like all consequences are pushed to the margins of this entire operation. He's just like, fuck it, we're gonna go and blow these guys' heads away. It was like their remake of that scene just felt so drawn out, and he was so careful and cautious, and he didn't say much, and when he did get around to shooting, it wasn't like, he didn't have any attitude, he didn't have any soul.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. They did try to like make him a character with like all this dog stuff, like he likes
he seemed too likable. He didn't seem like...
Well, yeah, because I think they needed to sell you on, like, he actually cares about the Major.
Yeah.
And he cares about these dogs. But the thing is, it was, like, an under 2-hour movie. There was only, like, so much, I guess, they could fit in, maybe.
Right.
Not entirely sure, but I do agree that, like, he wasn't the most soulful of people in the movie.
I mean, like, even, like soul aside, it's just, like, he didn't embody the feeling that I got from the original Bato, which was, he was just a fucking gun-toting badass who kicks doors down, fucks people up, and then runs by the seat of his pants, kind of thing. He felt a lot less urgent in the movie. Is what I mean.
He was, like, pretty flat.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really...
And also they gave
tons about him.
Togusa's revolver to the head of the chief and made him a crazy gunslinger for some reason.
Oh yeah, right.
Which was a little strange.
Unless they were like, they're really treating this as a prequel and they're like, this is what he was like before the movie. He was cautious, and now he's not.
And now he doesn't give a fuck.
Because that encounter.
Yeah. Huh.
So, okay, I want to quickly touch on...
The second time he goes to shoot up a Yakuza club.
Exactly, yeah. Because you fool me once.
Shame on you.
Second time he's going to kill like half a dozen, or a dozen of your men.
Don't send a rabbit to hunt a fox.
Oh, God, yeah, great line.
Yo, I loved that.
That was really
fun. I want to bring that up.
I was like,
yeah.
How did you guys feel about using Japanese dialogue in a Hollywood movie with subtitles?
I feel like this is a discussion that we could go on about for a while, but
maybe just like a sentence.
Just
what
generally,
do you think?
I felt like it was kind of inconsistent. They should have just gone full Japanese or full English.
That's what I was thinking too. It's almost like they're like, hey, it's Hollywood, and like, you know, whatever. We're whitewashing, and it's all this, but one guy's gonna speak Japanese the whole movie.
International actors,
you know.
I think he's like a really renowned actor too.
Yeah, I've seen him.
He was good. I liked him.
I think he's in Battle Royale, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm almost certain he is. He's like the
main dude.
teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he's a boner at the end of the movie.
A boner?
Yeah. When he's like,
I don't remember.
No.
Battle
in Battle Royale. Yeah.
Like, oh,
I believe that.
Yeah. I believe that.
I just felt like it was inconsistent that he was speaking Japanese because, okay, they're in Japan.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is he the only Japanese-speaking character then? If you wanted to
even
be
Togusa, who is Japanese,
if you wanted to be realistic, then there should have been more Japanese,
yeah.
Right.
Or just like cut it out altogether. I don't know. It just feels weird to take. It's not even the middle ground. It's like the 10% ground, which doesn't make sense to me.
It just felt lazy almost.
It just felt like they're trying to be like, hey, but we kept some of our soul. You know, he's going to speak Japanese. And the major here's her Japanese mother. Like,
oh,
you know?
My God.
I don't know. I was just like, man.
What I feel like, yeah, I don't know.
I could go on here.
But I'm not going to say I feel strongly in either direction. Because it's like they tried to do something. Maybe they were trying to show some sort of weird, almost Cowboy Bebop-esque future where there are no nations anymore. Like, yes, you're in Japan, but everybody else now lives here. It's like a melting pot of sorts. So, like, there are people that still speak Japanese, and everybody still understands him.
Yeah.
Because they're all in that place.
And they speak English back to him.
Yeah. And he understands. But there's like the black dude at the beginning.
But, like, he was
Asian
supposedly
peeps.
from Africa to do, like, a deal with whatever the fuck the corporation's name is.
And there's, like, the white people everywhere that are now all the main characters.
Yeah.
Did you guys, like, did the whitewashing, like, offend you? I gotta say, it's not... At least they tried... I feel like the only reason why why I'm not like negative towards this right now is just in the back of my mind I'm thinking Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
or Dragon Ball Z.
Dude, yeah. I'm thinking of those, and those like were really weird. This is at least like some sort of middle ground. You were saying it's like 10% there.
Well, actually, okay, so the whitewashing didn't bother me as much because like I was glad to see some Japanese characters. And like a mix. Like I was glad to see some diversity. And the other thing is like I get it because this is a Hollywood movie, and if you need to make a Hollywood movie, like whiteness aside, but we'll get to that. But you need a lead actress who is like a megastar. If you want Ghost in the Shell, the Hollywood movie, to succeed, then it needs like
a selling point for
gigantic female actor to play the part, an American actor. Scarlett Johansson is that, and I'm not so. I think it wasn't just like whitewashing; it was just like them covering their ass in terms of like a megastar,
right?
And also, so it didn't bother me as much as other people are bothered by it. And those people that are bothered by it, I think, are totally justified. It just didn't bother me as much because I get that they need a huge star, and all the huge stars are white, and that's an issue in itself, right? But that's like a separate thing. Like that's not because of this. Like Ghost in the Shell, or sorry, them picking a white actor. Like I wonder
it's
if
a symptom
if there was
of a larger issue.
Yeah, if there was, if the big, exactly. Like if there was a huge star that was Chinese or Japanese, that would be like, okay, why didn't they choose that? But if they needed a huge actor,
I mean, see,
their options are limited. So it's an issue born from another greater issue, the whitewashing of Hollywood.
That's the thing. It's like all three of us are people of color, and we've had this conversation amongst ourselves a million different times where we're talking about representation in Hollywood and how it's just generally, like, it's been a certain way for so long, and it's just inaccurate because it's not relatable to so many people on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah.
And, like, for that reason, everybody who feels that this is wrong to a certain extent, I feel completely justified.
Yeah, I agree with them.
But from, like, a financial standpoint, you're completely right, where it's like, they're looking at this and they're like, what can we get away with? It's like, we can put Scarlett Johansson as, like, the main character, and everybody who doesn't know about this and doesn't care about this will go see this movie because they're like, sick, a cool science fiction movie with Scarlett Johansson. She's a megastar. We're going to go see it because we know that she makes incredible Hollywood movies.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, like, I guess pushing it to the mainstream in that regard was probably a smart idea. And also just, like, putting their faces side by side, and it's a complicated issue.
I think it would have been cooler if they just turned the notch to 11 and cast her as Tom Cruise. Like, just gone full Edge of Tomorrow.
All you need is kill, man.
Yeah, all you need is Cruise.
You need.
The other thing, what I was going to say was, it would be weird. That's if it was Scarlett Johansson and then the rest of the cast was Japanese.
See,
that would be weird. So I was kind of okay with, I guess, she being white. Like, I get the circumstances. They need to make money. But I was glad to see, like, a varying cast. Like, there were some Japanese characters and stuff, because it's believable that, like, what Sean was saying, that's what I was viewing too, that this could be a world, a future with, no countries, or more people have moved around, and no country is distinctly of a certain culture.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be strange to see English speakers there, or white people, or black people, or, like, Japanese people all in one city interacting
where
with
they're
each
all
other.
speaking the same.
So that's why it was good that the chief was Japanese and that Togusa was Japanese. Like, that kind of, I think, made it. But there were still white characters and French characters and black characters. Like, made more sense.
It made sense, but also from the jump, I was kind of like, I was laughing to myself because when they introduce her, they don't introduce her as Motoko. Her name is Mira Killian.
Yeah, Mira Killian. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? This is too much. But then it's like, over the course of the movie and in the plot, they kind of backpedal and they're like, she used to be Japanese, but now she's a white person. But it doesn't matter because she's a robot. But the thing is, it's just like I was going to say earlier, it's not just a matter of image. Like, sure, you can put Scarlett Johansson's face and, like, a picture of the Major side by side and say, yeah, they're not, like, terribly far apart. Like, you could say one is, like, similar to the other, but it's more than just image. It's, like, identity and stuff like that. But I feel like their band-aid to that, which was introducing, like, the mom character,
the Asian
was
mother,
so weird.
It felt uncomfortable.
I was just like, what the fuck? Because, okay, so the Major gets the USB from her French creator lady, and then she's like, oh, your pass is on here. So we don't see her consume the data on that. Right. But she just is in an apartment complex all of a sudden. And then she has it in her hand. So it's assumed that she's in this place because, I don't know, she got directions or something.
Yeah, I think you see an address that she's looking for or something like that. Yeah.
So she shows up to the place. I don't know if you were in the bathroom at this point.
I didn't see her show up to the place.
Yeah. Okay, so she showed up there, and then she was wandering around. She finds a cat that is presumably her cat from before. And then this Japanese lady shows up, and she's just like, hi, how can I help you? And then, like, she doesn't form a full sentence. The Major, Scarlett Johansson, whatever. She's just kind of like, yeah, I was just looking for... And then the Japanese lady is just like, oh, come in.
Mm-hmm.
It just... It's so disjointed. It's like, what the... What? Who? Why? I'm so confused. Why are you inviting her into your house? Do you recognize her? Does she seem familiar? None of that is given to us. She just shows up, they go to her house. And then she's like, oh, do you want tea? And then she starts making tea. And then the Major pokes around and sees, like, the room of her, what you assume is her dead daughter. And then she brings up her dead daughter to this complete stranger who she is invited into her house and is now giving tea to. Mm-hmm. And then they just start chatting. And then all of a sudden they have this moment where they just kind of look at each other and she's like, are you? And she's like, I don't know. And then she just kind of dips. He's like, will you come back? Please visit me again, stranger. It just makes no sense. And, like, you as the viewer know what's going on. It's like, okay, this is her mom from a past life. She used to be Japanese.
Right.
Oh, because, the mom actually says, like, oh, my daughter Motoko disappeared.
So when you hear Motoko...
Or Motoko, how do you say it?
Well, you know.
The major.
Right.
My daughter, the major.
When you hear that, being people, we've watched the series now, or not the series, the movie prior to this, we know that's a signifier. It's like, ding, okay, this is her mom. I guess to someone who's just watching this like as its own thing, it might make more sense or seem a little less forced, or like a little less of a, hey, but she's still Japanese on the inside kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know. It just felt like they're really, really, really pushing to be like, but guys, we're not racist, we swear.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to pay homage to the Japanese aspect.
Yeah.
While also being like, sorry, but we have to do it. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, but excuse me. Like, I'm just gonna.
She's gonna be white.
I'm so
she's
sorry.
white.
I'm sorry. I just had to drop the bomb. There you go. That's
sorry.
Like
she's white.
They're like handing Scarlett Johansson the contract. Like, sorry,
She's
Japan.
like,
sorry, Japan.
It's like the guy pressing publish on the first YouTube trailer, being like, "You're not gonna like this."
Sorry.
Unlisted.
A million dislikes.
Unlisted.
To start off.
So I guess we've covered that topic.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do we have anything like left to say about the movie, like this specific movie?
Okay. So in the first Ghost in the Shell 1995, Beto has like those those eye things. I thought they were like glasses that were just stuck on.
So did I.
Same.
So, and maybe they were, but so in this one, his eyes get like messed
roasted.
Up. Yeah, they get roasted, and then he gets new eyes, and then he's just like, oh, like how do they look? And they like look awkward, and he like seems to know
they're almost too small.
Don't they have bigger eyes for him? One, don't they have bigger eyes for him? And two, he actually says, like, so now I can see like you, because he has like thermal vision, all that shit. He says that to Scarlett Johansson. If Scarlett Johansson has normal eyes, couldn't he have gotten normal eyes? Or like eyes that look normal? They have the technology, and he said, no, give me the little beady ones. Like
that doesn't make sense.
I was like wondering, because like
I want to look like a bug all the time.
I want to say a bunch of things about that are weird. So that scene is super weird, because just so you don't have any idea what Ghost in the Shell is, and you go see the movie and you see that scene where he gets his eyes blown out, it's so anticlimactic. He's just like standing behind her. A little mini explosion happens and he falls back, and it's like, okay,
his face,
why are there no burns on his face? How did this explosion just get his two tiny eyeballs and none of the rest of his face?
And she covered she covered his bodies and put her hands like this with the eyes not covered.
It's like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, this scene is just so silly. It's like they both get knocked over, and they don't even give you time to like get the whole gravitas of the moment. Like, oh no, there was an explosion. She saved his life.
It doesn't even feel like an explosion because they don't go flying. It's just like hop backwards.
It's just like, boom, next scene. Okay, he has these weird robot eyes. Let's go. What's next?
Then everybody who's seen the anime movie are just going, oh, that's how they got there.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like...
I'm sure all the people who are diehard fans are like, this is not canon. This is not canon.
Yeah.
Oh, so we saw it in 3D, and I gotta say, the best usage of 3D...
I know what you're gonna say.
was the Chief shooting Cutter, and then him falling in the water.
For like 10 seconds.
The guy falling in the water, and then the water splashing at us was like the best use of 3D in that movie.
Yeah, I noticed you started to laugh during that.
Yeah, dude, it was so ridiculous.
I forgot we were watching a 3D movie until that happened.
So far.
One thing I want to say,
cheesy, man.
Like another thing I want to say is that the action, I actually really did like it in the movie, and this is one of the few movies I've seen where the gross overuse of CG didn't bother me because it fit in technically with the world.
Yeah, I
like seeing Scarlett Johansson's CG
honest.
bodysuit, even though like the Green Lantern's bodysuit in that movie was CG and everybody hated it. This seemed like more realistic in a weird way because everything was so fake.
Right.
Also, I really like the action at certain parts. I just wish there was more of it, and I wish they didn't slow-mo everything. They could have gotten away with like
Baywatch,
just
dude.
played in real time a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it could still be cool.
A bit more fast cutting.
I love the idea of her like being handcuffed to like a pole in the middle of the room and fighting people on it.
That was cool.
Although it wasn't necessarily a cool scene, it was just a cool idea, and they didn't like execute on the fight scene that well.
I feel like that took away from. I mean, the whole time we were watching that, I was just thinking about the Yakuza shootout scene in Innocence.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, like, man, that scene was so much cooler than this. And here they're just trying to, like, divvy up the action.
Right.
So it's not just Bato busting the door down and, like, the Major has a part to play in it somehow.
Right.
Also, the depiction of Yakuza was almost, like, gratuitously, like, almost, like, racist in a way where it's like, come on.
I don't think I even noticed what was going on with that. What?
I don't know.
Oh shit, what was the last thing I wanted to say about this movie? I don't know, maybe that's it.
Did you have... I feel like
I had one last point.
You're like, oh, I remember something.
One thing that you made me think of earlier when we were talking about the different like people of color in the movie,
yeah.
I thought of how there's no brown character. And I was thinking, what if Aziz Ansari was in this movie? And then I'm like, wait, there was no comedic relief in this entire movie.
Was there?
That's
in
interesting.
The original movie?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just surprised that there's no comedic relief of like almost any kind in this movie. Sorry.
I watched you both have an idea at the same time.
I like the use of the 3D when it was just shot. Oh, I remembered the other thing I was going to say too.
Okay, yeah.
I like the use of 3D when Scarlett Johansson's just like walking down hallways with the barrel of her gun towards the screen.
Yeah.
And it's just like the most subtle, like the gun feels close to your face. It's like, what's around this corner?
I actually think like the 3D was good and subtle. Like except for the scene with the water, that was where it was like ridiculous.
I forgot
it was
we were
like
watching
nicely,
a 3D movie.
it was nice.
Yeah. So before I forget, I want to bring up how I think it must be the director, maybe the writer, maybe just the studio that wanted to make everybody in this movie talk an inch away from Scarlett Johansson's face.
Oh, yeah!
Like, there's like, nobody's gonna have sex in this movie, but why don't you just think about it? Why don't you just think about somebody fucking Scarlett Johansson?
Like,
because like
almost
her mom is talking an inch away from her face. The girl she picks up on the street is talking an inch away from her face.
What was that?
Dude, at the end of the movie...
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the movie, like, I get it. You're seeing your mom and you're hugging. But the weird, like, 30-second lead up to that where they're talking an inch and a half away from each other's face, I'm like... Dude, just you're in a graveyard right now. Yeah, like stop. Look, this is weird. It's just everybody talks so close to her face.
I got that. I feel like I think it might have been that scene where she picks up like a random human prostitute. They were like an inch away from each other's face, and someone, it might have been Scarlett Johansson, it might have been the other character. Someone says, "Come here," and it's like, what? Come where, dude? Come like half an inch closer to my face? Like, what the fuck?
I didn't even notice that, but that's interesting.
Somebody said, "Come here," when they were this close. I'm holding my hands together. This close to their face already. It's like,
So I the only other thing that I can think of that I want to talk about from the first one, and I guess it was used in all of them in the credits of the 2017 movie. The music.
Oh yeah,
that song. Like the theme is so good.
Yeah.
I love that it carried on throughout the first movie, like Ghost in the Shell. Like it was used a lot. Like I never got tired of it.
Yeah.
And it was used in the second one too. Like
a lot more even. I feel
but I didn't like that movie, so it's a bit of a hit. And I was wondering if it was going to be used in the 2017 movie, and I guess I was like, I guess not. And then they brought it in for the credits, which I was happy to hear. Yeah. The first time I heard that song, it was actually a couple years ago. It was sampled in another artist's song, and like the way I thought about that song before was it sounded like a ritual sacrifice to me, like that you're playing like as I'm being marched to my death or something.
It does,
yeah. So that's how I still think about that song.
What artist was the song?
The song was called Gretel, and it's by Coin Locker Kid.
Oh, interesting. I don't know who this is, but maybe I'll listen to it.
I don't know. It was like it was mostly the song, and then I think there was like some like weird, like I don't even know if you could consider it rap. Oh, I don't know. No, not rap.
That's
but, like,
weird.
I don't know what it was. No, it was more like talking though. It was more like preaching. Like
okay,
cool.
That's also weird.
I was walking,
right?
Kind of thing, like not like rap.
So I think we should wrap up our thoughts on this. The series so far. Maybe I'll start with this one.
Sure.
So just talking about this has kind of made me like the series a bit more.
Yeah.
I'll still say like I don't really like the second movie. The 2017 version was really cheesy, but like I probably liked it more than I should have just because my like expectations were like pretty low.
Yeah.
The original, like, I get why it's a cult classic. It's not necessarily for me, but I get it, and like I respect it, like visually and like theme wise and everything. Would I go forth and like watch the other stuff in the series? Maybe. I think what I'm most likely to watch is Standalone Complex, which is that anime series, because I've heard that like besides the 2 movies that we watched, Standalone Complex is like what a lot of people think to be like quintessential Ghost in the Shell besides like the first movie. Like the first movie is probably the best execution is what I've seen people say, but the series is almost like this is what I think Ghost in the Shell is. Yeah. So I might watch that just out of curiosity's sake, but I'm not necessarily aching to, because I don't think I was like that big of a fan. What about you guys?
As a whole, I think this is a very interesting, cool franchise. I definitely loved the first movie. I think it really stood out to me and it really stuck with me. And I think I'm definitely going to watch Standalone Complex next. Yeah, the execution of the second movie was weird and it turned me off a lot. But that being said, it still did look good to a certain degree.
3D.
Aside from that. The 2017 movie, that's a thing. My expectations were rock bottom. I went into this expecting just to laugh at this and just to have a nice chuckle with you guys and not think too hard about it. But I feel like in some respects it did do a good job. It wasn't horrible in the way I thought it would be horrible. Sure, it did miss the mark on a lot of things, and it was a bit too cornball for me overall, but I did enjoy it. And I can see why the first movie is like a staple and like a iconic, beautiful piece of art. Dylan?
I would say Ghost in the Shell in 1995 was really great. I appreciated it, and I understand how important it is and how influential it is. You can see kind of works that have come after it have taken inspiration from it. Yeah. I would totally even watch it again. I think I'd like to watch it again at some point and just like think more about the themes, because I really enjoyed that aspect of it, right? And what it was saying. Innocence is terrible. And, once again, fight me if you disagree, or actually just like tell me why it's good. Actually, tell me why it's good. Convince me. But you
it's
probably
somewhere
won't.
In the dense jungle of philosophical quotes.
It's just puzzling to me. It's just puzzling to me, and I don't know why there wasn't a different plotline that they could have made a better movie out of. And the 2017 movie, I gotta say, it was like decent, probably because my expectations were so low. But there were some good things that they did in the movie that I guess we all appreciated, and that's something. I mean, I don't know, like. So many people were saying, like, oh, that, like, people were talking about this movie, like, oh, like, that shitty, like, live-action remake of Ghost in the Shell. So I was expecting this to be, like, not
like
good,
a standard anime live-action remake.
Yeah, but it did some good things.
Yeah.
For the series, and there are bits that I appreciated. So, yeah, I was happy to watch it, and I was happy to review it. I hope we can look forward to a terrible live-action remake of Innocence.
If hopefully.
Possible. I'd love to roast that one.
A scene-for-scene remake?
Yeah.
With all the dialogue intact?
Yes. The philosophical quotes have to be there.
More 3D.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's it.
Cool. So that's our Ghost in the Shell talk. Let us know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. If you're not watching this on YouTube, we do have a Twitter at Shonen Chumps.
Yeah, we should let everybody know we're on Twitter. Yeah. We're on Facebook. iTunes Podcasts.
I think we're on the Google Play.
Yep, we are on Google Play.
For all you Android users.
And obviously, YouTube, and even on SoundCloud. But
who the fuck uses SoundCloud?
So, all of those, our username is Shonen Chumps.
At Shonen Chumps.
Yeah.
All of it. So
find us. You can email us. That's shonenchumps@gmail.com.
Yeah, hit us up.
It's a nice, clean email address. I like it.
We secured Shonen Chumps on everything, which was very convenient.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very simple for you.
I want everyone to remember, as a closing note, that we are the only anime podcast on the internet hosted by us.
This is true.
All right, so thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.